Beneath the skeletal arms of a highway overpass, where the city's roar was a constant, distant thunder, stood a small constellation of worn tents. One, a faded blue dome, belonged to a man named Elias. To the casual eye, it was just another piece of the makeshift landscape, but to those who ventured near, it was a sanctuary. The entrance flap, secured with a mismatched clothespin, was almost always open, a quiet invitation. Inside, the air was surprisingly neat. A bedroll was tightly bound in one corner, a small stack of canned goods in another, but the heart of the tent was the wall opposite the entrance. Taped to the thin nylon was a small laminated picture of Jesus, his expression one of serene compassion. The colors were faded from years of sun and handling. Beneath it, on a clean, flattened cardboard box, sat two Bibles. Their covers were soft with use, their spines cracked, and the edges of the pages were of frayed gold. Elias himself was a man weathered by the elements and time. His face was a roadmap of hardship, but his eyes, a startlingly clear blue, held a placid light. He spent his days not just surviving, but waiting. His visitors were a varied flock. Sometimes it was one of the other residents of the camp, their shoulders stooped with the weight of a bad day. Sometimes it was a fresh face new to the streets, eyes wide with fear and confusion. Occasionally, a church volunteer or a curious student would stop by. Whoever they were, Elias's greeting was the same, a gentle nod and a soft "come, rest a while." One blustery afternoon, a young woman named Chloe, her jacket pulled tight against the wind, hesitated near his tent. She'd been tasked with distributing blankets for a local charity, and this was her last stop. "Hello," she called out, her voice nearly snatched away by the wind. "He is with you," Elias's voice answered from within. "Please come out of the wind." Chloe ducked inside, her eyes adjusting to the dim light. She saw the picture in the Bibles and felt a pang of awkward pity. She handed him the blanket. "Here you go, to help with the cold." "A gift," Elias said, his voice raspy but warm. He took it with hands that were calloused and rough, but his touch was gentle. He didn't just place the blanket aside. He folded it with a kind of reverence and set it at the foot of his bedroll. "Thank you. The shepherd provides often through hands like yours." Chloe shifted, unsure what to say. "You're welcome." Elias gestured to a small, overturned bucket. "Would you sit? My pews are humble, but the word is the same." He smiled, and the deep lines around his eyes crinkled. "I don't get many visitors who aren't in need of a meal or a dry pair of socks." Curiosity won over her unease. She sat. Elias picked up the more worn of the two Bibles, its pages falling open to a familiar passage. He didn't preach with fire or booming condemnation. His voice was a quiet murmur like water flowing over stones. He spoke of the lilies of the field, how they don't toil or spin, yet are arrayed in a splendor greater than any king. "Look around," he said, his gaze sweeping the thin walls of his tent. "I have no treasure. I have no pantry full of food for tomorrow. To the world I have nothing. But I tell you, I am richer than a king. I have this moment. I have the air in my lungs. And I have a promise." He tapped the page with a steady finger. "A promise of a mansion that no storm can blow down, no thief can enter." He looked at Chloe, his gaze direct and kind. "He doesn't promise we won't face the storm. He just promises to be in the boat with us." Chloe found herself listening, truly listening. It wasn't a sermon, it was a testimony. It was the raw, unfiltered faith of a man who had been stripped of everything the world valued, only to find something he believed was of infinitely greater worth. She came with a blanket to warm his body, but as she sat in the quiet of his nylon cathedral, she felt a different kind of warmth spread through her own spirit. When she finally left, the wind didn't seem as cold. She looked back at the small blue tent, a tiny, fragile shelter against the vast concrete world. It wasn't just a homeless man's tent. It was Elias's church, and its door was always open.